Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chris Lee Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news with insight into what it all means. Joining me today, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor John Campea.
Hello, welcome everybody. Glad to be here.
And we also have joining us AMC Movie News Associate Editor Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Hey, hey.
All right, guys, we're going to get things started with this. As most of you have heard by now, J.J. Abrams, creator of the TV show Lost and director of Star Trek and the sequel of Star Trek Into Darkness, which is opening in AMC theaters everywhere on May 17th, has been announced as the new director for Star Wars Episode 7. It's currently slated for release in 2015. The first question that arose has been, will Abrams still direct Star Trek movies? Well, the answer appears to be a no. In an official statement put out by Paramount, the studio behind the Star Trek movies, it's been announced that JJ will produce the third Star Trek movie, but not direct. Amy Rose, is this the right move for Paramount and Abrams?
Can't we coexist? That's what I want to know. Like, can't we live long and prosper and have the Force strong in us? Like, I would like both. Like, first of all, I'm ecstatic about the news. Like, I was just hoping someone would do this amazing property of Star Wars right. J.J. Abrams, we know he's going to do it right. I have very high confidence. But I love his take on Star Trek. I absolutely loved the first one. And, you know, I saw the 8 minutes preview of IMAX for Star Trek Into Darkness, and I thought it was beautiful and wonderful, and the characters are great, and he really knows how to get the best out of his actors, and I loved it. So, you know, I'm a little disappointed about this news because I would really like to see him continue, but I understand why it'd be a little complicated. So luckily we have Star Trek Into Darkness, and luckily we have someone who's going to properly helmet for Star Wars.
No, I'm really glad he's not directing the third Star Trek, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it's one thing to do what Christopher Nolan did. You know, Christopher Nolan had the Batman franchise going.
It's all to the end.
And in between each Batman film, he did another little project to kind of try to keep his creativity sharp, you know? Mm-hmm. So he did Inception, he did The Prestige, you know, which turned out great. But I think there's a massive difference between helming a huge, ongoing, pressure-heavy franchise and another huge ongoing, you know, pressure-heavy franchise at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's Nolan did these little one-off films that were amazing, but he didn't have to shepherd these huge ongoing storylines. Also, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Even if J.J. Abrams was not doing Star Wars, I would really advocate for him to not direct the third Star Trek movie anyway.
Wow.
Because we have seen Sam Raimi has become the poster child for this. Sam Raimi is a great filmmaker. Mm-hmm. He's a creative genius, and he's a creative force. But what happened to Sam Raimi as he stuck around on the same franchise for too long? Spider-Man 1, awesome. Spider-Man 2, awesome. Spider-Man 3, garbage. And did Sam Raimi suddenly not become a creative genius? Of course he was still a genius.
The content was awful.
Yeah, but the thing is, he'd been around on the same thing. He's a creative guy. He needs to keep moving, keep his creative juices flowing, move on to something else. I was thrilled that JJ is coming back to direct Star Trek 2. I'm really looking forward to Star Trek 2. But it was going to be, I think at that point it's time for him to move on. Franchise change directors all the time. And quite often, it's a good thing. And I think this is a good thing. And look, I said it before, I'll say it again. JJ would not have been my first choice to direct Star Trek, or Star Wars, I mean. He wouldn't have been my second choice. He wouldn't have been my third choice. But that being said, he'd still be up there as a guy that I'm willing to say, hey, this is worth getting excited about. I still would have preferred Andrew Stanton. Still would have preferred Brad Bird.
I wanted Spielberg.
Still would have preferred Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's 1,000 directors out there they could have got, and JJ is certainly one of the top guys, and so I'm excited about it. But yes, this is good for Paramount, because I think the Star Trek 3 will be better served with a fresh director, and I think it's good for JJ because he needs to keep his creative juices going.
It's hard for me to want to change something. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, like, it's very hard for fanboys and fangirls to give an amazing property like Star Trek, like Star Wars, to a director like Joss Whedon with Avengers. Like, we didn't know, and then we saw that he crushed it. So it goes back to the ain't broke, don't fix it thing. I loved Star Trek, the first one, so I want to see him continue, but is it a huge endeavor to do both? Absolutely. Is it logically probably the right thing to do to not do it again? Yes, but I love his style and I love his world. So to me, you know, I would like to see it as a fangirl.
But
continuing.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it is not the mantra of creative forces.
maybe it is. I mean, Christopher Nolan finishing the whole Dark Knight trilogy, most of us who have good taste liked all three of them.
But, we may have liked all three Dark Knight movies, right?
Right.
Which I did too. I liked the last.
And creatively, they were still great.
I love the first one, love the second one, but you will agree with me. Even as somebody who really I didn't really like The Dark Knight Rises, I liked it, but as somebody who really liked it, you'll admit
it wasn't as good as the other two.
It was the weakest of the three.
It was, but was it still good? And was the world still great? Hell yeah.
And now I know why they put me in the middle. All right, guys, ready? Since the Oscars decided not to nominate Ben Affleck for Best Director at the upcoming Academy Awards, Affleck has gone on to not only be nominated for, but win Best Director at the Critics' Choice Awards, the Golden Globes, and his movie Argo has won Best Picture at the Golden Globes, the Producers Guild Awards, and the Screen Actors Guild Awards. John, do you think this will increase the chances of Argo winning Best Picture at the Oscars?
Yeah, and I should point out, Screen Actors Guild don't actually have an award called Best Picture, but their version of Best Picture is the Best Ensemble Cast.
Yeah.
That's kind of their version of Best Picture, and Argo won. Look, we brought up this point before that when a director is not nominated for Best Director at the Oscars, the movie they directed does not win. The last time a movie won Best Picture at the Oscar where the director wasn't even nominated for Best Director was all the way back in 1989 with Driving Miss Daisy. That's the last time it happened. I mean, that's a long time ago. But, all of a sudden, Argo's getting this huge momentum shift. I mean, it's winning the Producers Guild, the Golden Globes, which are useless, the Critics' Choice, which actually means something, the SAG Awards, which actually means something, the Producers Guild, which means, and it's winning all these things. So does it increase its chances? Yes, you have to say it increases its chances. However, I'm going to say it increases its chances from 2% to 4%. I still don't think that the people who were stupid enough not to nominate Ben Affleck for Best Director, even though he was the Best Director of the year, to not nominate him, are not going to suddenly then vote for his film for Best Picture.
And you're supposed to slash someone's tires since he wasn't nominated, right?
Oh, yeah. There are tires getting slashed. Trust me. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. I definitely think that it's interesting. I mean, we both loved Argo. I thought it was an amazing movie. And, there really is a formula to what wins Best Picture. There really is. The Academy is a little older. They love underdog movies. They love true stories. They love these kind of films. We have a lot of those. Lincoln is very politically correct, so that could be a good choice. I mean, the abolition of slavery, that's a big deal. But in terms of Argo, it literally is a story about how Hollywood saved a really big part of, our country. And it was, how could we not want to support that? It kind of glorifies Hollywood. So I could see it happening. Statistically speaking, as we've reviewed, chances are slim, but it is kind of sweeping the awards, as we just discussed, and it was a fine film, and Ben Affleck is an amazing director. So I would be very happy to see this film win.
But like you said, it's sweeping all the awards for Best Picture, but it's also sweeping all the Best Director awards, and it didn't even get nominated. Yeah. So I'm holding. I would like to see it win. Look, it's not my pick to win. My pick to win, my movie that I think should win is Les Mis. I think Lincoln will win. Yeah. But I will be very happy if Argo wins. So fingers crossed.
That's how I feel about it. Yeah. I want Beasts of the Southern Wild to win, but I know it's not going to, and I think Lincoln still will. But if Argo does win, I won't be surprised.
Okay.
Going for Argo. Director Bryan Singer has been actively letting us know which characters and actors would be appearing in the upcoming X-Men movie, X-Men Days of Future Past. Singer has taken to Twitter once again to let us know of some other significant alumni who are returning. Singer tweeted that Anna Paquin as Rogue, Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde, and Shawn Ashmore as Iceman will all be back for the film. What role these characters play in the plot is yet to be determined, but the return of Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde is a potential good omen, as her character was a focal point of the original comic book storyline. So, Amy Rose, do these characters returning excite you or worry you?
They excite me, and most of them could not, I mean, this story could not happen without them. Rogue was a very pivotal part of it. Kitty Pryde is like one of the centerfolds of the story. So that needs to happen. And, you know, I am a huge X-Men fan. This franchise is my all-time favorite. I almost forgot Ellen Page was actually in The Last Stand because that movie was so bad. But, you know, Shadowcat is an awesome character, Kitty Pryde. And, you know, she was the youngest member of the X-Men, and you kind of watch her evolve into this young woman. And I think she's a great actress. And, you know, with a good film giving her, Bryan Singer hopefully delivers. I think that's great. I really like Anna Paquin as Rogue. I think she's great. I've actually been Rogue for Halloween, ain't no thing. And Shawn Ashmore was fine as Iceman. It's not one of my favorite characters of the X-Men, but like it's, you know, it's fine. So I'm happy with this news. X-Men all the time. Let's do this.
I'm shocked.
Really?
I'm really shocked.
Huh.
Now, look, when Bryan Singer announced that he was merging these two X-Men worlds, and they're supposed to be in the same timeline anyway, but really, when he was still going to have Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and he was bringing in Sir Ian McKellen as Magneto, when he was going to continue to have James McAvoy as Professor X and bring back Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and then we found out he's bringing back in Wolverine. We knew that he was merging these worlds, but I didn't expect to this extent. Look, we all know, well, not all of us, but most of us know the Days of Future Past storyline. But I am expecting, as we all should, them to take a lot of liberty with it to make it work for the big screen. And so I wasn't anticipating them bringing in this many characters to merge this world this thoroughly. I'm a little bit worried because when you start adding 20, 30, 40, 50 characters, that can really convolute things. However, these are characters we already know.
Yeah.
These are characters where we know their backstory. We understand everything that's going on this way. So this very well could work. The interesting part to me, this almost signals to me that this is going to be the final X-Men First Class movie. I think this is kind of signaling that, look, we're merging these worlds now in this one, this first set of X-Men movies, and now this second set of X-Men movies. We're mashing them together, and I think this will be the last one of this kind of series. And overall, I'm excited, and I think it's back in good hands of Bryan Singer, who directed the first two X-Men movies. So absolutely, sign me up. I am pumped for it. And now we've come to the new segment in the show, Buy or Sell. Here's how it's going to work. Chrysalie is going to read off a couple of the big other movie news stories in the world today, and then Amy Rose and I are going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So Chrysalie, what do we got?
Zack Snyder's Man of Steel opens in AMC theaters everywhere on June 14th. Today, Empire Magazine gives us our best look so far at Henry Cavill in the new version of the Superman costume. John, buy or sell this version of the costume?
I buy it. I think this is great. I know there's a lot of people out there who've been complaining, oh, I don't like the fact that they changed the Superman costume. What Superman costume are you talking about that they changed? There's been about 9 different versions of the costume in the comic books. This looks good. It looks slick. I'm sorry, but the Christopher Reeve, oh, sacrilegious, the Christopher Reeve costume would look ridiculous today on the big screen. This is a great looking costume. I buy it.
John, we see eye to eye here, buddy. I would buy it as well. I think that, it still exercises the iconic imagery that we know and love, but with a modern day twist that actually looks like, Henry Cavill's gonna look studly in it. So I would buy it for sure. Now, you made a little face.
Totally
Chrysalie.
made a face.
I would like to hear your thoughts
Totally
on
made a
this.
face. Love the new costume, except for the color. I'm a big fan of that superhero bright blue that's been kind of consistent.
I like superhero blue.
It's the only change that I don't like is that color blue.
Okay.
That's it. The first official photo from Kick-Ass 2 released last week, showcasing Jim Carrey as Colonel Stars and Stripes and Aaron Taylor Johnson reprising his role as Kick-Ass. Some new photos have been released showing Chloe Grace Moretz reprising her role as Hit Girl. Amy Rose, buy or sell Chloe as Hit Girl in the sequel based on just this image?
Buy. I love Chloe Grace Moretz as Hit Girl. I think she is awesome. I love this movie. I'm so excited for the sequel, and I just think she was exactly what Hit Girl was supposed to be. She was charming, she was a little girl, but then she was super badass, and I love the iconic scene where she's going into, the bad guys' headquarters, Mark Strong, and she just lures them in with her little girl tactics and then just kicks their asses.
I'm gonna buy this, but not as enthusiastically as I would have thought.
Really?
Something about one of the things that makes Hit Girl work so well for me in the original Kick-Ass is the fact that she's this little girl doing all this carnage and damage. And I see these new pictures of her, and it's like, this is hit young woman. And don't get me wrong, I'm still buying it, but it's just I'm gonna have to see how they handle it in the movie to adapt to the fact that she's bigger now, she's older, and a little bit more mature. So I'm gonna have to see how this
If
works.
Conan can be 60, Hit Girl can be 15.
We all know that the next 6 Marvel films are Iron Man 3, Captain America Winter Soldier, Thor The Dark World, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers 2, and then Ant-Man, being directed by Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim's director, Edgar Wright. Now it appears that Doctor Strange may be the next Marvel character to join the movie universe, as president of production Kevin Feige said the following. He is a great original character, and he checks the box off this criteria that I have. He's totally different from anything else we have, just like Guardians of the Galaxy. He's totally different from anything we've done before, as is Ant-Man, which keeps us excited. John, buy or sell a Doctor Strange movie?
I'm going to buy it. And he's right. I mean, the one hesitation I would have is that he is so radically different from everything else they've done so far in the Marvel Universe. But then again, so is Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, I'm gonna cautiously go with the buy on this.
I'm also gonna buy it. I think that's why I am intrigued with it. He is so different, and I mean, he's badass. So let's do it.
News good. Okay, last one. After Oprah and Lance Armstrong's candid interview, it was reported that Paramount Pictures and J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Productions have picked up the rights to Juliet McCur's upcoming book titled Cycle of Lies: The Fall of Lance Armstrong. Bradley Cooper is being eyed to play Armstrong. Cooper previously told BBC News that he would be interested and said, "I think he's fascinating. What a fascinating character." Amy Rose, buy or sell this project and Bradley Cooper as Lance Armstrong?
Cycle of Lies. Sorry, that is like the cheesiest title. Anyway, I hesitantly buy, and here's why. I think it's too soon. I just think it's too soon. All these, his press conferences and all these things are still happening. I think it's too soon. Will Bradley Cooper do a great job? I'm sure. We saw a lot more of his range in Silver Linings Playbook. He's a great actor, super charismatic. The character of Lance Armstrong is very complex, as we know, as we see unraveling. So I think he'll do a great job. If JJ's involved, I'm stoked, but I think it's too soon. So
I'm going to sell this.
Really?
Regardless of how good I think Bradley Cooper would be as a guy, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in the story. I'm not interested in Lance Armstrong's story. Look, he's a guy who cheated in an era when everybody cheated. He's just one of the guys that got caught. To me, I'm not interested in this. Bradley Cooper raises the eyebrows a little bit more, but overall, don't care. And if JJ's not directing it, then I don't really care. But listen, that will signal our end of time for the day. But while we've got you, stop what you're doing. Click that subscribe button. Become one of our AMC Movie News YouTube channel subscribers. It's totally free, and it'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, our editorials, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. And while I've got you, make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. And listen, if you want to listen to an audio-only version of the show, check the show notes. You can click the link that will subscribe you to our audio-only version on iTunes, or if you like Stitcher, on Stitcher Radio. I want to thank our associate editor, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Thank you so much.
Our host, Chris Lee Kennedy. Chris Lee, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys. Listen, guys, the most important part of the show isn't what we have to say. It's what you have to say. Make sure you jump down into the comments section and leave your thoughts on any or all of these topics. We read every single one and we'll engage with you on them, so hop on down there and do that. And once again, click that subscribe button. So once again, until tomorrow, my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.